Welcome, movie fans. Thanks for joining us for episode 134 of Reading Between the Reels, the premier podcast of navigating three timelines with less guidance than the soldiers had on that beach. If you're a new listener, we're so glad you found us. And if you've been enjoying the show, please like, follow, and subscribe, and leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. You can also support the show by posting on your socials and by joining our Facebook group. I'm Craig Dickinson. I'm joined tonight by Justin Eldon. Justin's back. How's it going, Justin?
It's going good. It's going super good.
Sick. Well, Corey's out tonight, but he should be back next time. But Justin, I want to ask you, what have you been watching? We haven't really talked about this, so I've been saving it for the pod, which is good.
Yeah. There's a lot of conversations that we save for this podcast, which makes me sad because it's Craig. I want to talk to Craig, but I don't talk to Craig because of the podcast. So I've watched a couple things. I watched Stranger Things, the first drop of season 5, and I won't spoil anything, but it's good. It's good stuff.
Nice.
Has not disappointed. And anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that because I don't want to spoil anything. And then the other thing that I watched was Fantastic Four, the new MCU Fantastic Four.
Me too.
And it was... I watched it in chunks because I don't often get to watch things all at once. And the first half, I watched the first half, and the very next day I saw Craig at work, and I was like, this movie's good. I think the MCU is back. I really like this movie. I'm super excited. And then I watched the second half, and I think I texted Craig and was like, this movie sucks. I'm really disappointed. Because the first half of it does... Okay, so like the MCU I feel like has gotten a little bit stale. Like all the movies kind of feel the same post Guardians of the Galaxy. Like they all
yeah, even that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean, it was still good for a long time, but after Guardians of the Galaxy, it all felt the same. And then, so watching the first half of Fantastic Four, I'm like, ooh, this is new, this is fresh. I like that it's in a different universe, even though I feel like typically in the MCU, when they do the multiverse stuff, it feels like the stakes are lower because there's infinite versions of everything, so who cares if somebody dies? There's just another one out there. Anyway, but it was cool to have it in a different universe, and like the whole aesthetic of the world was really cool. It felt familiar but new at the same time, and I felt like the director had a little bit of like creative freedom in the way they had, things look and the world interact with the characters. It was really, really cool. And then I feel like they didn't do anything with it. Like the characters didn't develop a whole lot. Like it didn't dive into the characters a whole lot. I felt like Galactus was kind of tossed aside as some like trivial villain, and he's not a trivial villain. There's still a lot I liked about that movie, but overall I was like, dang it, MCU, I want to love you again. I really do. And I'm just having a hard time with it. And I know a lot of people, I think Craig, you mentioned you had some issues with the casting, like you didn't like the Reed Richards. I thought Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards was fine. I don't have a huge issue with that. But just at the end of the movie, I thought, you know what? The original, what was it, 2003, 2004? When did that one come out?
Yeah, 2004 is the first one.
2004. I thought that one was still overall better, and this one was just kind of meh.
Okay. Yeah. The production design is fantastic. I do like the look of the film. I just got kind of bored. And yeah, I thought that, I don't like Pascal in this at all. For me, though, I mentioned last time that I had been kind of going through the Quentin Tarantino catalog, and so I finished that up this last time. I had not seen The Hateful Eight at all until this time, and I watched that last week, and it's very much a slow burn, but I enjoyed that quite a bit. Like, it's interesting that Tarantino we went on this very Western kick. I mean, Django was prior to this, and then Hateful Eight, and then a significant amount of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is Western as well, right? And so I watched The Hateful Eight, I enjoyed that, and then I watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I'd seen before only the once, and liked it a lot better the second time. I enjoyed it the first time, but knowing where it was going and like that it was going to be in a similar way to Inglourious Bastards, where it's kind of this alternate past thing, this idealized version of what happened instead. Enjoyed that, and then the fight scene at the end where Cliff Booth, it just trashes all of Mance's followers. And then, of course, you have the great scene with the flamethrower. Just made me laugh out loud. So, yeah, I enjoyed both of those quite a bit. And then the last thing I would mention is I watched Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which I try to do every year on Thanksgiving, and laughed so much. Love that movie. It's John Hughes, and it's funny and it's heartfelt and all the things. And then just on a whim, I let it run, and there's a post-credit scene for that film, which I did not remember. Because if you remember,
I have not seen that movie.
Have you seen the film? You've never? Okay.
Mm-mm.
So not really a spoiler, but at the beginning of the film, Steve Martin's character is in a meeting. He's in advertising, and his boss is trying to decide between two layouts, and it's taking forever. And so there's some tension with there, and then finally the guy's like, all right, we'll break, and we'll talk about this after Thanksgiving. And so he's a little bit stressed. Oh, I'm going to miss my flight. And then, he's like, well, it's going to be close. And his friend's like, you'll never make that flight. And then he gets to the flight, and there's a whole series of things that happens after that. But it's kind of like a red herring. Like, oh, we won't make this. And then, the reason for his stress is real. Anyway, you get to the end of the film, and the guy is still looking at the two layouts, even with his Thanksgiving dinner laid out in front of him on the table at the office. The boss had still been working on it for like 4 days by himself. So that was, I had never watched it all the way through. I just thought that was kind of funny. So, I mean,
yeah, that's one of those things
where you invented that stuff, and it did not.
Yeah, I always think that with like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, we have that post-credit scene, and I think we forget that happened before the MCU.
Yeah.
Anytime I watch a movie with my kids, though, they're convinced there's a post-credit scene. It's like we have to watch the entire thing, and I'm like, there's not in this movie. I've seen this movie 1,000 times. They're like, no, there is one.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So
what are we talking about today? What are we doing?
Well, we're continuing our series on the films of Christopher Nolan, and tonight we are going to attempt to do Dunkirk in a single shot.
I think we can.
It's a little bit of a shorter film. This one's only 106 minutes. It's still got some really interesting things to it, but I don't think it's as dense as some of the last couple that we've done. So, yeah, from 2017, Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk. So, overall thoughts on Dunkirk, Justin?
So this was I only saw this movie one time before we did this podcast. I saw it in theaters, and I did not love it. I didn't hate it, but I remember watching it and just being like, oh, that was a movie. That was a thing that happened. When you do a World War II film, I feel like you're in a different genre. Like Christopher Nolan has previously done a lot of sci-fi and sci-fi adjacent stuff. Ish. What would you call that? Yeah, I guess so. Anyway, and this feels different for Christopher Nolan. Anyway, the first time I saw it, I didn't love it. And then this time I watched it, and I actually watched it both times with just my wife, and I really liked it this time. There have been few movies that I can think of that I have been this, like, on edge the entire time. Start to finish. You jump in and you're stressed out. And then it does not end. That stress does not end until the very last scene, like literally until the credits roll. And I really liked that. There's a couple things that I didn't like a whole lot, but overall I thought it was really, really well done. Maybe not Christopher Nolan's best film, but I don't know if I could point to anything in here that I would say, well, this is why it's so bad. No, it's just he has so many other good films that this doesn't rank among the top. But just overall, I really enjoyed it, and I know there are some criticisms of the film out there because it's a World War II film where you never even see the enemy until the very last shot. You see an out of focus, like, Nazi in the background. Yeah. But other than that, you don't ever see the enemy. I guess you see their planes, but it is entirely focused on the Allied troops, right? And it's I think he did a really, really good job. Overall, fantastic.
Yeah, I didn't expect to like it this much either. I remember seeing the trailer and I'm like, yeah, that doesn't seem like I'd be interested in it for whatever reason. And then it's not one I revisit frequently, but then I put it on and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. That's right. And I remember the first time that I watched it, and I think I've only seen it maybe 3 times at this point. It introduces the non-linear narrative, and you're like, oh, of course. It's Nolan. How could he not be playing around with time?
Yeah.
And this time I'm just struck by it's just this constant stream of foreshadowing / payoff / flashback, because you're seeing these same events through, like, in a lot of ways, like, speaking of Tarantino, in a little bit like Pulp Fiction, where you're seeing the same scene from a different angle in different order, and like it just kind of enriches. Oh yeah, that was what's happening over here. It's like, oh, that's that part that's over there, and it's like a lot of Nolan films kind of demands a rewatch. Like you feel a little bit more aware of what's happening, a little bit more in control of the narrative, so to speak, in your own brain. Because you're trying to construct. It's like you're doing a puzzle as you're watching the film.
Yes. This is where's Corey? Darn it! This is not a casual watch. Like you have to sit down and watch this bad boy. Like, for example, I always say this guy's name wrong. Cillian Murphy? Is it Cillian Murphy?
Killian.
Dang it! See, every time I think I got the right one.
Yeah.
So Cillian Murphy, you're introduced to that character for the first time in this when he's picked up on the civilian's boat.
Yeah, the Moonstone. Mm-hmm.
And you don't know his backstory until later. Like, you're introduced to the character, you're assuming stuff happened, and then you don't even find out what happens till later. And there's just so much of that where mid-movie you go, oh, that's why that one thing happened. Oh, wait a second, I need to go back and watch this. Like, this one thing was more important than the last. I like Nolan's playing with time.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I like it when he does it as like a storytelling aspect. Like Interstellar, he doesn't jump back and forth. Like, it's a pretty linear story, but the characters diegetically, if I can use that word here, are moving through time differently. Whereas this one, like, you, the viewer, like, the characters are all moving chronologically through time, but you as the viewer are jumping through time. Yeah. And I don't know that I love it in this movie, especially because you're on 3 separate timelines. Yeah. And it's kind of confusing, I guess. And maybe I'm slow, but it was confusing. No, you're not slow. How quickly things were happening for some and how slowly things were happening for others. And you almost had to pause it and like reorient yourself that, okay, this dogfight in the air, Tom Hardy's character in the plane, all of that is happening maybe not at the same time as what's happening on the beach. Yeah. And I don't know. I just don't know if I like it in this film. I
found a great quote about that, and I don't remember exactly who it's from, but it said that the film isn't about who the men are, but what the experience felt like. And I feel like that's really, that's why it's done this way, because it really is trying to put you through the ringer. And with the editing and we'll talk about the sound, like the sound design, and yet I mean, it's a score, but it's a really non-traditional score that just keeps you on, like you mentioned, like on edge the entire time.
Okay, say that quote again.
The film isn't about who the men are, but what the experience felt like.
See, I hate that my mind gets changed so easily. Okay, I like it. You won me over.
Which factors in, because we'll talk about characters later. Like, that's why there's no big name. Well, Tom Hardy's the biggest name in this movie, and isn't in it that much. Like, who the main character is, so to speak. You know, Tommy. It's Tommy, right? The guy who's on the cover of the movie poster is a no-name guy, brand new actor. Essentially.
Why does Christopher Nolan like to cover Tom Hardy's face so much? That's what I want to know. He's the Bane mask in Batman, and then this one he's wearing like the flight mask the entire time. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. So. All right. I think after hearing that quote, maybe I need to reframe. All of my. Dang it! I should have. Well, they need to like put that quote at the beginning of the movie. They should somehow sneak it in there.
Just know you're going in like this. Yeah, this is how you're gonna experience this movie. You experience it. You don't watch this movie. You experience the movie. Yeah. The last thing I just want to mention, you're really starting to see Nolan get recognition from the Academy. It's going to be a couple more until we get the big wins. But this one was nominated for 8 Academy Awards, and it did win for Best Sound Editing and Sound Mixing, which makes total sense, and for Best Film Editing. Yeah, makes total sense, but it lost to Shape of Water for Best Picture and Best Director. Stop. Best Original Score also? Stop. Just stop. Production design also. Shape of, wait, what?
I don't remember if it was Oxford or Webster, but they just came out with their word of the year, which was rage bait, which isn't a word. So I don't know if they're trying to rage bait us because rage bait. Anyway, sometimes I wonder with like awards if they do that. Like we're going to intentionally have this movie that is not going to like impact the world culturally in any way, shape, or form, and probably not a lot of people have seen it, and we're going to make that one win. Like, are you just trying to make people mad? Come on.
Like when Traffic won. It's like, stop it.
See, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, so? Exactly. But I will say this. So this one made me, those all made me mad. Rage bait, for sure. But the one that made me happy was that it lost Best Cinematography to Roger Deakins for Blade Runner 2049. Yeah, well deserved.
Blade Runner 2049.
Gorgeous freaking film. So I'm good with that.
That movie is beautiful. How do we always end up talking about Blade Runner?
Every time.
That's what we are. We're the premier podcast of Blade Runner. That's what we are at this point.
Always. We'll work it into every conversation.
Yep.
So let's dig into the cinematography, composition, color, cam work. We got Hoyte van Hoytema is back. We mentioned him last time. I don't know. Did you get to talk about Hoyte van Hoytema and how funny that name was? I don't know.
No,
sorry.
I don't think so.
To all of our Dutch listeners. But yeah, Hoyte van Hoytema. Fantastic cinematographer. Shot the film on IMAX. Yeah. 65 millimeter and large format film stock. It has a very documentary feel. That's my 2 cents right now. And then go. What do you got?
No, it really does. It has a documentary feel, which has got to be intentional, right? Because 99% of the people watching this movie have only experienced World War II through documentaries and Saving Private Ryan, right? I mean, like that's how we know it. But it is very like the color palette for this whole movie is just very muted all throughout. And all of the lighting too, I noticed it was all natural light except for the part where they are in was it a destroyer? I don't remember what kind of ship it was, but it was a ship that they're only on for like 2 seconds before it gets sunk. But almost everything is just natural lighting. Or, like during the night scene, there's, flames that are like emanating off of, you see it emanating off the characters. Like, so everything just feels like these people aren't in control, even in control of their own lights, right? Yeah. Like you're on the whim of the outdoors. Lots of, especially on the beach, there are lots of lines, like parallel and perpendicular lines, which almost like lends itself to this feeling that all these men are trapped. Like where are you going to go? You're going to go out. There's a German, fighters coming through, just kind of mowing you down while you stand in lines. You have zero cover. Yeah. So what do? You get down on the ground? Like that doesn't provide much cover either. I don't know. Just between the coloring and the perpendicular and parallel lines, you just feel like there's nothing. Like these guys have nothing but time to kill, and time. I don't mean to sound like cool dramatic here. They have nothing but time to kill, but time is what is killing them.
Ooh. Yeah.
No, I didn't mean to sound dramatic. No, stop it. Like I didn't know how else to say that. It's I don't know. That to me that is just incredibly stressful for them. And again, as the audience, you feel super, super stressed. The camera movement too is not super. I think the word I saw was like indulgent. It does not move unless it needs to. Like that opening shot of those men kind of walking through the streets of that the French city.
Mm-hmm.
Is the city named Dunkirk?
I believe so, because they're trying to get back to England.
I should know this. Yeah. I don't know if the beach was Dunkirk or the city. Anyway, you get a lot of camera movement right there. Yeah. But other than that, the camera is pretty mounted. Even in the dogfights, like in the jets, it's like most of the time it's mounted in the cockpit or mounted on the side of the plane itself. It's just not really moving a whole lot, which again kind of makes you feel trapped in this environment that you don't want to be in.
Yeah. Just to build off what you said about the horizontal lines, like the horizon as a motif, I thought was really interesting in all three timelines. Where you have on the beach, the horizon is like really oppressive, because it's and then you have the water right there, like there's nowhere to go other than that one guy who walks out, which is another just brutal image, like to just drown himself. When you're on the sea, the horizon's like the promise of where you're going. And then in the air, it's like freedom that you're trying to, like, there's a whole different level of different feelings in there, that there is range of emotions that are happening with that. Because even though like it's still stressful in the airplane, it's not nearly as much as it is in the other two timelines. Like, it feels like they're helping. They're not in imminent danger as much as the other scenarios.
Or even the people like on the pier, the mole, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
The people on the pier, like, I think they make the comment at least twice, like you can almost see England.
Yeah.
Over that horizon. Ooh, I'm gonna quote Moana here. Here we go. Just kidding.
Yeah, it's right there. They talk about that. It's literally right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some other things just build off kind of what you said too. Like there's a lot of first person point of view. You mentioned in the cockpit. The first person point of view in the water is, like, pun intended, very immersive. Again,
Water.
like it's more about the experience than it is. I think that's why it's used in this film as much as it is. Just like that opening shot too, where it's like it feels like there's a camera mounted on Tommy's shoulder as he's going through that, through that French village. Like you're going through it too, and then like sounds are coming from all over the place, and we see that repeatedly where people are getting shot just out of nowhere, and you're like, well, that could have been me. Like I'm almost stressed out about it, even though I'm just watching a film.
Yeah. Well, and with anytime you're in that cockpit too, it's cramped. Like,
yeah.
I remember, like, as a kid going to a museum and like getting in one of those World War II fighters, and even as a kid, like you sit in one of those in the museum and you're like, this is tiny, this is not comfortable, you do not want to be there. So you're cramped when you're there with Tom Hardy, and then the other who is the other guy? Tom Hardy's, I believe he was Irish, like his wingman there. Up in the air.
No,
the one that gets shot down
and
almost drowns. I don't remember who that was.
That's
even that as
Jack,
like,
right?
As the water is filling his cockpit, that is immersively stressful.
Because you're sitting in there. Yeah, he looks down.
And and he doesn't even have enough room in that thing to like punch the window out. Like he's struggling to navigate his way. You know what bugged me about that character a little bit was the dude Irish? I'm struggling to remember, but he's wearing a suit, right? It looks like he just put on his flight gear on top of the suit, and I don't think they ever explained why he's in a suit, like a shirt and tie, and
I don't know. It's just time to go, and they didn't have time. They just whatever you're wearing.
It was just kind of odd. I guess they didn't say something about that.
I'm assuming.
I don't need everything explained, but I want some things explained.
You're consistent, Justin. I
just feel like what the character's wearing should be talked about. Whatever.
Yeah, no, I get it. Hey, when you pull them out of the water, why are you wearing this? So, anything else about images before we go to sound and such as?
No, I don't think so. That's probably good.
So, yeah, as a reminder, this one for best sound editing, best sound mixing. So, any effects or music things you want to talk about? I have a bunch of stuff I want to talk about, but I wanted to.
I feel like anytime you're doing a war movie, like sound is going to be paramount, right?
Yeah.
Because the bullets and the explosions and whatnot, tanks and planes and things like that. It's not always clear with the sound what is actually diegetic, like what the characters can hear versus what the audience can hear. Was I wrong on that one? Like you hear that the air raid sirens a lot, but sometimes the air raid sirens would like bleed into the soundtrack. And I'm like, okay, at what point was that me hearing that and the characters hearing that? But again, if you are like a stand-in and you are supposed to be as stressed as those characters, does it matter? Because like not being physically there, you as the audience, you are not going to feel the same stresses, but the music then enhances that stress, which is just the worst. Just in general, the sound and the sound mixing continues to create like that impending doom. And just like we talked about in Interstellar, when they're on that water planet and like the clock is ticking and like showing the passage of time. I feel like this one does that with the waves. Like the tide, coming in constantly. Like every time you're on that beach, you just constantly like hear that tide, you hear that tide, you hear that tide, and you're aware that time is passing slowly for you and these people, and like they're getting closer to death every single time, and it's getting more and more hopeless. And anyway, yeah. Let's talk about your sound. Let's go into your stuff. I'm going to bounce off what you're saying because I'm going to repeat myself here.
So there's kind of leitmotifs in this, but they're not really melodic. They're more sound based. And there is one that we'll get to, but like it's called the shepherd tone, which is this kind of endless rising tension thing that happens. It's very much like you're reminiscent of like the Joker's theme.
Yeah.
Where it just keeps going, or it feels like it's going up. There's this kind of illusory thing.
Wait, shout out to the comment on one of our TikTok videos. Sorry about the Joker theme.
Was it intentional?
Yeah, like Corey, I think when we were talking about the Joker's theme, asked, was it intentional? And the comment was like, well, yeah. Nolan didn't just like...
It's not what he meant.
What is he saying?
Context matters.
Context matters.
But yeah, you hear this all the time. It starts with the opening scene, and like you hear it tons in the dogfights where it's subtle enough we don't necessarily know that it's happening, but like what's this gnat going over my head all the time? Like that's that shepherd tone. And I mean, you mentioned the clock thing. I mean, this is awesome. Like Zimmer literally samples Christopher Nolan's pocket watch and processes it and weaves that into the score. So like all these
wait, expound on that. Tell me more about that. What?
So yeah, there's a ticking sound that you hear, and you hear it from the like in that opening scene as well. But it's literally Christopher Nolan's watch that Hans Zimmer has sampled and put in there. Much like you mentioned Interstellar, like you hear it especially like on that water planet.
Yeah.
So you hear it tons in the beginning thing. Tommy's run from the snipers. You hear it when they're in that Dutch trawler. It starts filling with bullet holes. It's just always there. So you have the side, that rising sound that's annoying and stressful, and then you have this ticking sound which like immediately stresses you out as well. We do have there's a couple of songs. Home and Variation 15 they're basically versions of an very old song by Edward Elgar's Nimrod, and this is when you hear like at the very end, because there is kind of an orchestral thing that happens where the boats show up, they kind of come over the crest, and it's kind of this relief, this emotional release that happens there. But it's like, again, it's because it's the only one, and I think it's more powerful that way because it is kind of the only kind of traditional symphonic thing that happens in the score.
Yeah, everything else does not feel welcoming or at home as you'd normally expect the score to sound.
Yeah, because like literally the last couple I had, like there's the Stuka dive bomb siren, like just hearing the screaming dive sound of the German Stuka bombers coming in. And it's not quite melodic, but it works in that same way. Like there's sound all the time that's happening in this film, and so it's kind of like this fear leitmotif. And then the last one you have is just the air support motif, which is just happening again. It's in the dogfights. And every time you hear Farrier, that's Tom Hardy's character. Every time he's chasing through people, when he flies too low over the soldiers, and then that final heroic glide as he goes through. So
and you keep saying dogfight, but we have a good friend that would get very mad that we are calling them dogfights.
The guys were shooting at each other.
Yeah, we have a friend. I think we've talked about him a little bit. Since we've been doing Nolan, and he does not like Nolan. No. He thinks Craig and I are just loving on Nolan too much.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Going into this, knowing his criticism of he's saying, these dogfights aren't real. Like, you never see the dogfights. I felt like we saw a fair amount of dogfighting. I liked it. I thought it was good. It felt grounded, as Nolan typically does. He doesn't normally go crazy with the CGI, and some of the jet or the plane scenes were CGI, and I don't think it looked super good. So I'm glad that he restrained himself on how often he is showing these planes interact.
Yeah, most of those shots, like you mentioned, are either like the camera like strapped to the outside of the plane, kind of reminiscent of what we saw in Interstellar, or inside the cockpit.
Mm-hmm. That is POV. Very Interstellar-y.
Yeah,
yeah,
and Rogue One a little bit.
Oh yeah, Rogue One.
Yeah.
Great film.
Yeah, good film. Great film. Anything else you want to talk about sound before we move on down to performances?
No, let's move on down to performances. I've got thoughts. But
Cool.
you go first. I always go first. You go first.
No, yeah. So I'm across the board. Even though they got some newcomers, great acting across the board. I would say.
Yeah.
Like I don't think anybody stands out as obnoxious. Nobody's melodramatic. Nobody's static. Just a complete minimal use of dialogue. It's so sparse in this film. Yeah. But there are a few lines that I liked, and I think Nolan gets a bad rap. I think sometimes for being overly serious, and so when you get a little bit of levity, I just want to point it out. So you have this one conversation between Colonel Winnett and Commander Bolton, and Commander Bolton's played by what's his name? Skip my brain right now. Oh, Kenneth Branagh. Kenneth Branagh is Commander Bolton. He's the one in charge, and then the other guy is the guy who played Jarvis in the young Jarvis, the actual Jarvis. And I'm missing where he's at right now. Oh, James Darcy. James Darcy, tall, skinny guy. Yeah, he played it mainly in the Peggy Carter show, and then he was in Endgame as well. Anyway, so Winnett is talking to Bolton, and he says, the Royal Engineers are building piers from lorries. At least that should help us when the tide comes back. And Bolton says, well, we'll know in 6 hours' time. And Winnett says, I thought the tides were every 3. And then Bolton says, then it's good that you're Army and I'm Navy, isn't it?
Yeah. And then they reference that later when they're in the little Dutch ship.
Yeah.
About the tides.
Yeah.
So.
Which I was like, no, it's not 3 hours. It's 6, guys. You guys are screwed. Yeah. But I just like that little knowing. We get a little wink from Kenneth Branagh, good thing I'm in charge, buddy.
I think if there's one thing that Nolan does well, and I'm positive we've said this multiple times, is casting. Yes. He does a great job getting the characters that he needs, or the actors he needs for the characters, in terms of what performance he wants them to play. And obviously he's reusing a lot of actors. He's kind of known for that, but it works for him. I don't feel like he's reusing them out of convenience or out of oh, hey, this guy's my buddy, I'm going to put him in the movie. No, he puts people where they fit. And I think that's probably part of his success there. You know who I really don't like, and the more I looked into him, I don't like him even more. Frickin' George. I don't know. Something about that guy. Barry Keoghan. Yeah. Just something about his face. Too smooth.
Oh, no. He's got a punchable face, man.
He does have a punchable face, but I feel like I probably said that about someone else, so I was avoiding saying that. But he's got a punchable face.
Yep.
I guess my one issue was, and my wife actually said this, and I agree. It's really hard to tell when you got all the soldiers on the beach, and then all of the infantrymen that go and hide out in the Dutch ship for a little bit. Mm-hmm. That scene right there, it is really hard to tell people apart. They all look very similar. They all have dark brown hair or black hair. None of them really have outstanding facial features, and it takes a while to be okay, this is that character, that's this character, and maybe I just have face blindness or something. I don't know, but I would have liked a little bit of diversity in the characters, so I wouldn't have to figure that out so much. But that's just me.
Yeah. Did you have a line of dialogue that you wanted to say?
Oh, see, like you said, there's not
so
not
few.
a whole lot of dialogue. I
mean, basically, I had gallows humor. That's kind of all I'm getting from this one.
Yeah, and from what I understand, so I read this book called "The Things We Carried," "The Things They Carried." Anyway, it's a book about Vietnam, and it's really well done. And it's almost like a collection of stories. Mm-hmm. And there's quite a bit of talk in there about how, the gallows humor is what the soldiers did. It's what they had to do. A lot of people jumping into a platoon or something at Vietnam would be really shocked by the amount of gallows humor. But it's that's how they cope. They can't take death seriously, or the impending threat of death seriously, otherwise they'll break. And I feel like everyone here is kind of doing that. Like they're all just okay with this eventuality that we're going to die. So you want to laugh along with them, but at the same time you're like, you're gonna die. No, I don't really feel like, I hate saying that, but I don't know if there was like a whole lot of dialogue in here that really stood out to me.
It's not a key part of this thing. So, I mean, I just look for the last couple that I had. I just thought one was just super morbid but also like matter of fact. And at one point the guy says, well, the tide's turning now. And his friend says, or his command officer says, how can you tell? And he says, the bodies are coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then just to kind of wrap at the very end, when they get finally to get back to England, that blind guy's handing out the blankets and he's like, well done, lads, well done. And the guy says, all we did is survive. And he says, that's enough.
Yeah. Well, and then at the end there, I thought it was interesting too, how, we saw as the audience, the story of Dunkirk, and then they get back and look at the papers, and the papers kind of like painted it very differently. It's like, you gotta sell it. You gotta sell it to the people back home. There was, so Mr. The older guy with the yacht, Mr. Dawson. So he has like a very brief conversation with Cillian.
Yeah, Cillian, yes.
Haha, I did it. He has a very brief conversation with Cillian Murphy on that boat about like sending kids to war, like how he thinks it's not fair that we send the kids to war, and he talks about how like his age dictates what he can and can't do in this war. I like it when movies explore that theme. And I feel like it was like touched upon, but then it wasn't further explored, just probably due to lack of dialogue in the film. But this idea that, he's going to help where he can. He's going to drive his yacht across the channel. He's going to save as many people as he can. And just because he's old doesn't mean he can't help out, because like the young men are out there fighting. And speaking of Cillian, Cillian?
Yeah.
Speaking of Cillian, what a fantastic casting for a shell-shocked PTSD.
Yeah.
Okay, so shell-shocked is what they call it in World War I. PTSD is what they call it now. I forgot what they call it in World War II. But whatever he is, shell-shocked PTSD.
Yeah, they use a different term in this film too, yeah.
Yeah, now I'm blanking on what it is. What a fantastic person to have PTSD. He's got like the scared, I just saw some crap that I shouldn't have seen, I'm not right in the brain. He's got that in his face, and does a great job.
Agreed.
Awesome casting. I don't think I've ever seen him like Cillian Murphy in a film I did not like. Like, he is awesome all the time.
Yeah. There's
I forget.
a reason
Have you seen Peaky Blinders?
I have not seen Peaky Blinders.
So Peaky Blinders on Netflix, kind of the same thing. He is a post World War I soldier, comes back home and like has a hard time adjusting, and it's kind of like a family crime drama.
Okay.
Wrapped into that as well, and it's really, really well done. And yeah, Cillian Murphy just kills it in that role. Anyway,
yeah, I've heard of it. And I know that I've heard that he's really good in it, but I have not seen it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just looking at again, the acting is good, but there's not a whole lot to pull out that's specifically interesting, I guess. Like there's so much, and full disclosure, like I really feel like I need to watch this film so many more times to be able to pull as many things as I want, because I was just trying to keep up with the film more than anything. And we talked about this, like I'm trying not to pause it like every 5 seconds just to try and process what, but I did. I still paused it a lot. So
no, and that's kind of just to let the audience know. So we try and watch this multiple times before we come and talk about it on the podcast. But yeah, we want to watch it without interruption. So we get the moments that the director's trying to push through the screen. But at the same time, we want to take notes for the podcast, so we can't take notes while
it's attention
watching the movie, and especially movies like this, where if you don't watch every moment, you're going to miss it. So it's like it's a difficult balance, and I feel like, oh my goodness, I'm stressed for Tenet because
yeah. Well, we're for sure going to watch that one together first, talk about it a little bit, and then go watch it separately.
Hold my hand.
So just a couple things that I wanted to talk about is we talked about Mr. Dawson a little bit, and there's the whole thing where, Cillian Murphy's character, I think doesn't even think he has a name. He's Shivering Soldier, I think is what he's called.
Yeah, I don't think they were saying
which is interesting. So he inadvertently kills George, right? He knocks him down the stairs or whatever, and then he asks a couple times, like, is he okay? And, the first time, this Dawson's son's like, no, he's not. And then the second time he does, like at the end, he kind of gets it. Like, it's not going to do him any good to tell him what happened. And so he's like, no, he's fine. Yeah. And then that look that he just real brief, just real subtle, he just nods his head to his son, like, you get it. You understand now.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that was so good.
That was such an easy, or I guess like shorthand version of giving that character some character development.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't need explained to the audience. Like, everyone just understood. Okay, he gets it. He's just, the Shivering Soldier character does not need to know that he is dead. He's been through enough.
We get a little bit with that family, right? We hear the older brother had died in the war, like a couple weeks in, like 3 weeks in, I think they said. Mm-hmm. And so you get enough of that story. We also have that part early, and I didn't write the quote down, but Dawson is talking about, like, you're gonna take my boat anyway. Might as well be me being the captain of this thing.
Yeah.
So we get as much as we don't get a ton of stuff, like if you're paying attention, like we get a pretty good feel for the backstory of this family.
Yeah, and Mr. Dawson himself, I like how very quickly you catch on that, okay, this guy knows his stuff. Like, he's obviously seen some combat at some point, or is at least aware of how things work, because he's talking about, how the planes function and the sounds of the engines and things like that. Mm-hmm. Like, he's a clever dude. And I like that it doesn't go into a ton of detail explaining that. It just kind of shows, does not tell. Well done.
Mm-hmm. And as we just kind of transition into setting design, the last thing I want to say about costumes and stuff is that the historical accuracy is ridiculous with these things. So they made the heavy wool fabric that hadn't been in production since like 1940. So they make these uniforms in Pakistan, and then the boots are made in Mexico, and then they age them for like 3 weeks in England.
I love that.
Just spare no expense.
I love it.
Right?
Yeah, because I don't know if we've talked about this on the podcast, but like the Acolyte, for all the faults that it had, the costume design in that, and just costume design, I talk about this all the time, sorry. The costume design's a big one for me. If the costume looks too new and unused or not practical,
off the rack,
it ruins it for me. Off the rack, yeah. And like in the Acolyte, that's the one that always stands out to me, is those people are wearing Jedi robes, and those Jedi robes look brand spanking new, and the insides of ships look brand spanking new, and it doesn't look lived in. It does not look worn. And like, you have someone on set that is their entire job.
Yeah.
Just like, I don't know, take some mud and like rub it in there or something before you start filming. I don't know.
Some textures.
Get like a little, get some textures. Like I don't know, take a lighter and like light it on fire for a second. Put the fire out. Like, have it be singed. Something. I don't know how that stuff works.
It could be a fire in space apparently in that universe, but
a fire in space. Who knew there could be fires without oxygen? That's crazy.
Wow.
Anyway,
Anywho,
I love the costume design in this. Like you said, I didn't know they went to those lengths, but it looked really, really good.
I mean, this is, and just to kind of transition into setting, like, this is filmed where? On the beach of Dunkirk.
Yeah.
Like, even though it's going to be really hard to do it, they're like, we're still going to do it. And like, the only thing that they had to, like, Bastille Day was coming up, so they had to like make sure they couldn't actually, interfere with that. So it's crazy that they went to, like, you got real boats and real planes and filmed in the real place at the exact site of the real evacuation. So like, had you been there, you'd been like, yeah, I recognize that.
I wonder how hard it is nowadays to like get a World War II fighter for a movie. Like, how many of those are still out there and functional enough that you can use them for filming purposes and fly them and land them?
Yeah.
Like, I just wonder how difficult or expensive that would be. So speaking of location a little bit, I'm going to pretend like this fits with location and maybe lighting and cinematography. I wonder how much of that sky, and I can't tell the difference, so I'm totally cool with it. I hate CGI sunsets and CGI weather and things like that. But the sky was almost entirely cloudy the entire time. I think there's a couple shots where you see the blue sky, but it's almost all gray. How do I know in that part of the world it's probably gray a lot of the time, but seeing as how shooting probably took place over several months, yet this takes place over a week or hours or days, depending on what you're looking at. I wonder how much of that sky was real. But it looked real the entire time, and that's all that matters.
Didn't pull you out of the film.
Yep.
Okay.
Wait, while we're talking about that.
Yeah.
The whole thing suggests that it's very... This did kind of take me out of the film. It suggests that it's very cold. Like, the water is cold. They comment a couple times. The people on the beach look very cold. They're wearing the heavy gear. The people on the mole are all wearing heavy gear, and it looks like they're cold. It suggests that it's cold, but you don't ever see evidence other than what they are wearing that it's cold. And that always takes me out a little bit, too. Like, you never see their breath. Their noses aren't red, or like their cheeks aren't rosy as things are when they're typically cold. But like you saw soldiers like, going like this, but in terms of like the makeup department, I don't think we ever saw other suggestions that it was cold. And that one was a little bit like, seems like
gotcha.
Like a lackluster attention to detail on that bad boy.
Okay. I mean,
but that's a nitpick. That's a nitpick.
I was gonna say that's how good a film it is that we got a nitpick. Like I couldn't see their breath.
Yeah.
One thing I was always struck by is the Moonstone, which is like this pleasure yacht, and it's gorgeous with this nice wood and stuff. And then you get to the end of it, and it's just covered in crude oil after all of this stuff and blood and everything after it's been, through literal war. And he knew, that it was going to be that way. Dawson did.
And the number of soldiers he like packs into that boat is just insane.
All of those preservers, like the life preservers, it's a massive pile.
Mm-hmm.
So, just another kind of random thing I noticed. Like when they get on the first one of the first ships that they kind of get rescued on before it gets blown up, they're like giving everybody tea and toast, which I just thought, like, how British is that? Like we're still we're so civilized. Like here you go, here's a towel. Here's some tea and here's some toast with some jam on it.
Yep.
And I know that's like historically accurate. Like nobody's gonna make that stuff up. But it's like, what would the modern day equivalent of that be? Like I don't know. But like a sandwich maybe. Yeah, probably like a power bar or something, right?
Yeah.
But no, here's some triangles of toast with some jam on them, ready to go. Anything else for setting the design before we move on?
No, just that again. I appreciate Nolan and his ability to just make you feel like you're actually there because he doesn't overly rely on CGI for crap. I mean stuff. Like he does a good job.
Both of those are true. Yeah.
I appreciate you, Nolan, because he's totally listening.
Wouldn't that be great? Come on in. Let's do that. That's how we should finish. Big bang. We'll have Nolan on the film on the podcast. Just a couple other things we mentioned, that there's a ton of like young and basically unknown actors in this as we get to characters. One thing I did read too, he was really adamant that everybody be British. Again, just going full authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
And we get so little backstory, like almost no. I mean, you mentioned it too. There's almost no names. Like it's frustrating, but it seems like it's intentional that we're not really supposed to be able to keep track of who's who, because even though we're kind of following Tommy from the beginning, he's not really the main character. He's just one of the people we're kind of going along with. I wouldn't have even been that surprised if he'd have died.
Yeah, and even one of the bigger actors / characters, Cillian Murphy,
Cillian, yeah,
doesn't even have a freaking name throughout the film.
Right.
Yeah, so maybe, like you said, maybe it's intentional that they all look the same because it doesn't matter. It's what he's trying to get across.
I don't think so. It's Mark Rylance who plays Mr. Dawson. I don't think Mr. Dawson has a first name either. He's just Mr. Dawson.
According to IMDb, he does not.
Yeah, Michael Caine is in this movie as Fortis leader, just a voice cameo, so that keeps the Nolan streak alive. Wait,
when? What?
Oh yeah, it's at the beginning of the dogfight scene. Like when they first start taking off, you hear him. He's Fortis leader. It's Michael Caine.
No
Yep.
way. I did not.
Seriously.
Wait, is he even? He's not even on IMDb.
Yeah, no, he's in there. If you're listening carefully, you can tell it's very clearly him.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
is he in every Christopher Nolan film?
Yeah. Other than, well, not the first two. He's not in.
Yeah, I feel like the first Memento.
He's not in Memento or skipping my brain. Insomnia. Dang it.
I feel like those two movies are pre-Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan.
Yeah. First
I
one's
didn't know who he
basically an
was
indie
yet.
film, and the second one's a studio film that he's just kind of a hired gun for.
Oh, he is. He is uncredited. It says
Yeah.
he is good old Michael Caine.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be sad when he dies. He's got to be getting up there.
Yeah. So we've mentioned Tommy lots of times. Yeah, he's retired. Finn Whitehead is the other player. I don't know if he's been in anything else of note that I've seen. And
No.
probably the biggest star for the children, Harry Styles is in this.
Yeah,
As
that
Alex.
one. It took me a while to figure out
Where do you
that
know him
that
from?
was Harry
Yeah.
Harry Styles. Yeah,
Yeah. And he's
'cause he
good
doesn't
in
look
it.
like
He
himself.
doesn't, he's not, I don't know if he's great. He fits in with everybody else. I guess he cast him because of the look. I mean, that's pretty much why he got hired. He looks old fashioned.
Yeah, it works out. Yeah, looking at like these actors' film history, with the exception of Killian and Tom Hardy, like
Kenneth
they
Branagh.
don't really have other film history. Like
No.
they do a little bit, but nothing crazy.
Yeah. Which I think adds a little bit to here's a word for you, verisimilitude. That's for you, Dan.
Ooh,
It feels real because you're not like, oh, that's the guy from The Thing. I'm thinking
Yeah.
about that while I'm watching this war movie. I'm like, this is, Tommy is only Tommy. I've never seen him in anything else. So he's just that guy. So it feels more authentic. And maybe, here's a theory, maybe that's why they do cover up Tom Hardy's face.
maybe.
So that you're with, his character. You're with Farrier. You're not with Tom Hardy. You're not thinking, oh,
Yeah.
this is Bane again. So.
I do really like it when films do that. Yeah, because if you would have put a Brad Pitt or a Tom Cruise or something in here, like, boom, you're taken out of the film immediately. I love it when movies do really well no-name actors. I think the one that probably took me out the most was Gilderoy Lockhart.
Kenneth Branagh.
Because he's always Gilderoy Lockhart to me. I don't even care what his real name is. His name's Lockhart.
He's so good in that.
He is. He's really good in
period,
everything. But unfortunately, he was so good in Harry Potter that that's what he is forever. So sorry, man. Sucks to suck.
He's in Tenet too.
I
think you've
did know
forgotten
that,
that.
but only because you told me the other
I
day.
think you've forgotten.
I'd forgotten because I saw Tenet once and my brain exploded.
Oh wow, you've only seen it the
And I
once.
forgot.
Oh, this is going to be a fun journey.
Because I had a headache.
Not before the movie, but during it. It just made me have one. Yeah. All right. Anything else, characters you want to talk about before we move on?
No.
All right. So for Hero's Journey, it wasn't really a good place to put this, but I just wanted to break down the non-linear timelines and like what we're looking at. We kind of mentioned it a little bit throughout, but we have the first one is the Mole, which is the 1 week, and that's just on the beach, and then the sea is 1 day, the Moonstone, and then the air is 1 hour. That's the RAF. And the intercut in between those three, and I just remember watching that and then seeing that little subtitle pop up. I'm like, oh, okay, I know this. I know what we're doing now. Like, okay, I'm more interested now in what we're doing because these things are going to be laid out there. But I had no idea they were going to be intercut the way they were, which is fascinating.
We talked about this at the beginning, but I still don't know if I super love that. Again, you said the quote at the beginning, and I loved it. But like, for example, when they're in that Dutch boat waiting for the tide to come in, if you didn't see the tide, like every time they go back to that scene, like the tide is a little bit higher. If you didn't see that tide become higher, it would have just seemed like they were in there for 20 minutes or something. Like definitely not enough to get the tide high enough to pull them out.
Yeah.
And that's one of my frustrations with movies often is like unclear timelines or like how much time is actually passing.
This movie will mess with you on that then for sure.
Yeah. And maybe that was intentional because maybe the soldiers felt the same way, but I don't know. I didn't love that.
Yeah. So yeah, and
Especially
that's
because
like,
everything's just gray all the time. Like, I think all those beach scenes are
yeah,
lit the same. Like, there's no morning, midday, nighttime. They're all just
no,
midday.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm just thinking, as much as this is an experience rather than a viewing, rather you're not supposed to enjoy this movie. You're supposed to experience it. I mean, you can enjoy it, but you are going to experience it, and you're going to experience it the way that they are, where they're getting a fragmented view of this escape. Right? Everybody has a tiny little bit. Nobody knows the whole thing. Not even us, unless we're carefully piecing this together, like with a pen and notepad.
Yeah.
Okay, this was this, or I have to watch it again, and. Yeah, I just felt like, again, that's just where our experience is. I'm going to be kind of like those guys that, where they were in that Dutch trawler that got taken out to sea, did completely, they have no control of that at all. And then they show up there and then they're like, no, they're covered in oil and now the oil's on fire. And it's like, it's all random.
We finally
it's
get to a boat that we're totally fine with and then it gets torpedoed and then, we're right back in the water.
And like, the rug's ripped out from under us. Just like us as viewers are like, oh, I'm starting to get a handle on what, nope, sorry, time to move.
Nope. Yeah. Yeah, because even when they're in the Dutch trawler, like, what a terrible situation to be in where you are waiting for the tide to carry you out, but then all of a sudden people are using that boat as target practice, which you can't do anything about because it's going to make the situation worse if you poke your head out and be like, can you stop shooting me? But at the same time, you can't stay in there because the bullets might hit you, and then if you do stay in there and hope the bullets don't hit you, like they're literally stop putting holes in my ship, so stressful. What do you do?
Yeah. Oh goodness. So we talked about world building a lot. Like, just it's the first one he's done that's based on real events, but filmed with real locations, real ships, real aircraft. A whole new level of realism. Just It doesn't fit it, which is another reason why it's so stressful. I don't go oh this could never happen. Like, this is happening. This did happen. It's happening to me right now.
Okay, so talking about realism, you said a comment the other day in our group chat that I feel like you're going to have to now defend. You said that you like this movie, or maybe you said it was better, I don't remember what you said, more than Saving Private Ryan, which I think is heresy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no. Bad. Explain yourself. I am in confusion.
Okay. Could fully be recency bias, because I did watch Saving Private Ryan within the last 6 months. I think only for the second time. I saw it first in the theater and then watched it, and thoroughly enjoyed it. And I love Spielberg, and when we do, because we're going to do a series on Spielberg coming up soon, and we will absolutely watch that movie and talk about it.
And we'll be doing that series till we're 90.
We will till we're 90. Thank you. But I will say that this movie stressed me out and engaged me at a level that I had not been in a while. Like I mentioned multiple, like usually when we watch these movies, you can, all right, I'm just going to jot something down and I don't have to pay attention for now. I don't have to pause it. Like every time I had to write something down, I had to pause it and rewind every time. And I was just completely sucked in and overwhelmed by, like, the experience worked on me, and like in a just a visceral level, that film, which I love, it's a great film, and like, but just not to say this is better, but in a sense, if you take the beginning of Saving Private Ryan and how tense that is with the siege at Normandy, and then do that for 106 minutes, you have this movie.
Okay.
Because there's no downtime in this movie, other than maybe getting the tea and toast. And then it gets torpedoed.
But even that is just to lull you into a false sense of security.
Yeah. Because there's plenty of moments in Saving Private Ryan, and again, well, that's partly why it's so good, that you have moments to kind of get to know all of these characters where they're just having these conversations, and there's the running gag about what does Tom Hanks' character do for a living, and all this stuff. There's moments of levity in that film. There's room to breathe. This does not. Very different. And that's what I told Andrew actually today. It's like very different. One of our colleagues. Very different experience. I don't even know if you can compare them, other than the fact they're both World War II movies. They're just very different.
I respect your opinion, but that doesn't make you any less wrong. I
love it so much.
I don't know. I feel like you can't compare.
That was the best picture. Yeah, that's a high bar.
To say one is better than the other, and then say you can't compare the two. Like, kind of weird there. I don't
dance
know,
on that all over.
I feel like it's Saving Private Ryan. Like you can't top it. Not going to.
Okay.
Not to say that this is a bad film.
No.
But again, you're wrong.
All right. So continue. Just final thoughts then on Dunkirk, Justin.
I don't know. I guess it'll bring me back to the beginning. I thought it was a fantastic movie. I like breathing, but this movie made it much harder to breathe all throughout. Mm-hmm. I was happy when it was over because stress is bad. But like, well done, Nolan, for doing that, right? Like, he's known for a lot of things, but keeping the tension like racketed up to a 9 for an hour and 40 minutes, I think is what the runtime is.
Yep.
He did really well. Like it feels very Nolan, but at the same time, it is like Nolan kind of being like, hey, I can do other things. I like it. Top 10 best Nolan film.
Top 10 Nolan films.
Top 10.
Yeah.
Can we say that about all of them?
Yeah, I think we can. I don't think we're only at, we're less than 10. So, yeah, just kind of the only thing that I'm going to say, just kind of build up what you said. Like, I immediately felt like I needed to watch it again. Like, I was glad it was over, but I also just felt like, okay, I know I missed so much.
Yeah.
Because it felt like this is a Swiss watch. Everything's intentional. It's really well put together, and I missed 90% of it. Probably not that much, but I feel like I missed a lot, So it's like, okay, like this is worthy of me watching it again. I feel like I didn't quite get everything I needed to get, especially as a film reviewer. I'm like, I missed so many things. So, but yeah, I liked it, but I also, hated watching it, but then wanted to watch it. It's all of those things.
I think like rewatchability is probably like Nolan's thing. Like, you can watch those movies so many times and just get so much out of them. None of them are just like popcorn flicks. They're all
like you have
deeper.
to. You're required to.
Yep.
So, all right. Anything else? Or are we ready to get out of here?
I think we're good.
All right. So as we close, we just want to say thank you guys so much for listening. If you want to connect with us, you can find us on X, Instagram, Facebook, email us at readingbetweenreels@gmail.com, or use the SpeakPipe app on our website. If you enjoyed the show, please like, follow, subscribe, and be sure to leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. And one last thing, our next regular episode will be the start of our review of Tenet. Not sure how many episodes we're going to do yet, but we're going to start it with one, probably at least 2. So be thinking about Tenet. Send us an email or voicemail about your favorite moments from Tenet, and we'll share it on the next episode.